Thanks for listening to the Made to Fuel podcast. Don't forget to click the subscribe button so you don't ever miss an episode. Feel free to stay social with me on Instagram at MadeFitnessCT. Search Made to Fuel podcast to find the show on iTunes, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Every episode is 10 minutes or less, so you can listen multiple times to fuel you throughout each week. Spread the message and share the podcast with anyone in your life to help fuel them too. Now, let's get into it. What is going on, everybody? It's the Made to Fuel podcast. My name is Matt. Thank you guys for clicking on the episode. Social media is everywhere, and it's a huge part of our day-to-day lives. But let's be honest, it doesn't seem like it's going to be slowing down anytime soon, right? Today, I want to talk about the impact of social media and why it's a good idea to start cutting back on the amount of apps you're on or screen time you spend checking those feeds. There's been some studies that show that people who spend a significant amount of time on social media experience increased anxiety and decreased self-esteem. No surprise, right? Watching everybody else's accomplishments and their achievements fly through your feed isn't necessarily going to make you happy for them. It might make you unhappy about your own seeming lack of accomplishments. Are these people even your friends? Do you text or call them on a weekly basis? Are you spending more time thinking about their goal slashing and not worrying enough about setting goals of your own? And while we're at it, all the success and joy you see on your feed from your thousands of friends, and I quote, is also highly filtered and edited to paint a pretty rosy picture of events. Come on, nobody's life is as glamorous or freewheeling as Instagram and Facebook makes them out to be. Just think of how many times you took that selfie to make sure it looked effortless. You're not alone. By any means, because so many people do it. Remember that image and reality, it's not always going to match up, and that your happiness should not depend on anybody else's. You may feel less lonely or more like you're keeping in touch with all of your friends when you're constantly all up on their social media, but it's not actually getting you anywhere close to real, lasting relationships with any of your friends. It's just empty interaction. Did you hear what I just said? Empty interaction. Your real close friends are the ones you have actual conversations with. You hang out with them in person. You speak to them on the phone or through text. If your friends on social media were to deactivate their accounts, would you still speak to them? I want you to take a moment and really think about that question. If your friends were to deactivate their accounts, would you still speak to them? I'm not saying one or two people. Let's say you have 1,500 friends on Instagram. All 1,500 deactivate. Are you reaching out to all 1,500 of them? So then why the hell do the numbers matter to you? Empty interaction, like I said. Now, are you that friend who can't get through an entire dinner or concert or picnic or party or any type of social event without spending most of the time checking your phone? And be honest. It's not even for important work emails or personal calls or texts. This friend is scrolling through their Facebook and Instagram feeds while you're trying to have a conversation. It's incredibly rude and ruins the experience for everyone. So if you're not that friend, make sure you don't become that friend because nobody likes that type of friend. If you don't set boundaries and post everything that happens to you, you forget that your entire life is not only public, but it's also permanently recorded in visual images and text. Just remember that safety and reputation are both important. You don't want your kids to see those booty shots pop up down the years, so dial it back a bit. You feel me? Social media is incredibly distracting. Maybe you find yourself doing something cool, but instead of enjoying the moment and being present, you're mostly thinking how to get the perfect photo and how to phrase the perfect post. You're starting to see the world in virtual, filtered form rather than experiencing it. Or worse, you've lost touch with your life because you feel most alive when you're online or on social media, or the least bored. But every hour you spend on your phone is another hour of your life you're missing out on. Think what you could accomplish in all of that accumulated time. This episode isn't to bash social media. There could be a ton of good in it, depending on what you're using it for. But remember, the most important aspects and experiences of your life will never be through social media. Just don't allow that to take away time from making those moments for yourself rather than your followers. I want to thank you guys for listening to this episode. I'm sure there's a ton of people that we would want to share this episode with. I know I plan on doing it because of how big of an impact social media is playing on a lot of people in my life. That's not necessarily in a positive way. So feel free to share this with anyone in your life that you think can benefit from today's message. I hope you guys fuel through this week and make it count. We're going to come on back next week to give you more goodness on the Made to Fuel podcast. My name is Matt. I'll see you guys then. Bye.